Robin, I want to thank you so much for meeting with me today. I am just so delighted to be able to interview you and find out more about you and what has motivated you with taking on this business. So, can you just start with a little bit of your background and how you were introduced?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Jan. It's always fun to be able to talk about, everybody likes talking about themselves, right? So fun to be able to talk about myself. But most important, my story, my family story is one that I hope, the reason I love telling it is to inspire other people with regard to the industry that we're in, and specifically with Shackley, because I think not all network marketing companies have what Shackley has and makes available to generations. So my story is a generational one, and my name is Robin Reeves May. I have a home in Sacramento, California, which is pretty much, I mean, I was born in California, raised in the Sacramento area. And my husband and I have also been fortunate enough a few years ago, actually 9 years ago now, to purchase some property up in the country in the El Dorado wine country. So yes, I do drink more wine than I used to now, since it's in my backyard practically.
But now I know who to come visit.
That's right. That's right. We will go wine tasting.
Yes.
It, yeah, it's beautiful, and we have 7 acres there. So we're in the process of starting to prepare the land to do some farming, and we're going to have some chickens, and so that's kind of a whole nother story. But the reason I say that is because it really is one of the benefits of building a network marketing organization that gives you the opportunity to do some of the other things that you love to do in life. So our business has given us lots of choices. It's beautiful to be able to have choices in life. So going back to the beginning of my story, my grandmother was introduced to Shackley in 1964. And at that time, my grandmother was not a wealthy woman. In fact, you would say she was poor. She and her husband were working, well, she was working as a waitress in a restaurant, but they were also managing an organic farm, which, in 1964, nobody was really talking about organic. So my grandmother was introduced by a gentleman, his name was Harry, when he stopped at her neighbor's home to talk to the neighbor about Shackley. But the neighbor stood him up. The neighbor wasn't home. So my grandmother saw this man in the hot heat of Northern California, actually Central California, hot summer day, and she thought, oh my gosh, this poor man, I'm going to offer him a glass of water. So she did. He accepted, and he must have thought to himself, I've driven all this way to talk to someone about Shackley. I'm going to see if this woman is open to hearing, and she was. And right away, she was attracted to Dr. Shackley's story about the products, the quality of the products, and I think more specifically, she was really impressed with a product that is called Basic H, which is our all-purpose household cleaner. But because it fit her idea of healthy, organic, natural cleaning product, and it just made sense to her. So she got excited about that product, went out, sold that product like crazy, not because she was a great saleswoman, but because she fell in love with Basic H, and then with all of the products that Shackley had to offer. And she was just a billboard for the difference that those products could make for people. Interestingly enough, my grandmother didn't understand the business aspect from the beginning. She just fell in love with the products and talked to anyone that would listen about them. And then she started getting checks, and someone talked to her about moving up in what we call ranks. It's like getting a promotion. And she didn't understand that. And when Harry came to say, congratulate her on her next promotion, she said, I don't understand it. I don't want anything to do with it. and it wasn't until my grandmother hit, got a pretty decent promotion, or rank as we call it, that she finally said, I get this, I understand it. She wanted the pin because you get this nice little pin. She give me my pin. And she then understood, how this business worked, and continued sharing the products, sharing the business. It made such a huge difference. I mean, if you can imagine a woman going from being a waitress and living on a very small income to now making in 1970s, by that time, a pretty substantial income, enough to where they could move to Grants Pass, Oregon, and build their own office building.
Wow.
So my grandmother and her husband, they built an office building that housed their Shaklee products and was a place for their business partners to come, and they could introduce other people to the business. So it was pretty impressive. It was very impressive. And my grandmother was in her late 50s when she became a Shaklee distributor and built her business. So she, it's not like she was in her 20s. Then when she understood the business and understood the value of what she had built, she realized that she wasn't going to live forever. So she wanted to make sure that this organization, this business that she had started, was going to continue well beyond, her being gone from the planet. So that's what she did. And she talked to my dad, who was very successful in the insurance industry. And he said he didn't quite understand what she was doing, but saw that my grandmother was actually earning more money than my dad was making.
What did your dad do?
He was a general agent in the insurance industry, and he was in the top 10 of his company.
Wow.
But the difference is that my dad's overhead, because he owned his own agency, he had to have an office building, and he had to have employees, and he had to have office equipment, and his overhead was huge. And so that's the main reason that my grandmother was making more money than he was, because so much of his profit was going back into the business, which we don't have in a home-based, network marketing kind of business. So when he realized that there was a real opportunity, he said yes, that he would partner with my grandmother so that he would begin to learn how the business worked, and be able to continue it after she passed away. And unfortunately, she passed away sooner than she thought she would, but she was in her mid-80s. And unfortunately got lung cancer, we think, from something that she was exposed to in her early years working in shipyards, maybe. We don't know. Who knows? Anyway, she passed away. My mom and dad, I'd been working for my dad in his insurance office. And he said to me, do you want to do this with us? And I said, I guess so. So that was the beginning of our experience. We'd already learned about the products and received benefit from the products. We'd been using products for several years because of my grandmother. But the business side of it was something that was foreign to us, really, because we're not taught this kind of business model in school. We're taught, go to school, get a job, get a good job, work well.
Get an education.
Get an education and work. In those days, people had maybe one, maybe two careers. These days, the younger generation think nothing of changing jobs, having different careers. It's kind of a whole nother world. But to be able to, the big thing for me is to understand, and I love teaching this aspect of our business, is to understand the model and that you're building something. And when you have a job, you're trading your time for money. You don't work, you don't get paid for most people, right? But in this industry, you're actually building something. You're building a business that's going to pay you an income, whether you're working or not, once you get it built up and you build it right. So,
you alluded in the beginning to Dr. Shakly's philosophy. Can you expound a bit on that? And that was one of the contributing, factors to your mother being interested?
my grandmother, yes.
Grandmother.
Grandmother. Well, somebody can read about his whole story. I won't tell Dr. Shakly's whole story. It's pretty fascinating, and there are books written on his life.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't expected to live beyond his teens, and clearly he did into his 80s. And it's because his mother took him out of the city into the country, started feeding him whole foods and foods that maybe weren't contaminated. And this is way back in the early, 1900s, when people really weren't thinking about that. So for his mother to do that, I think was quite brilliant. But what it did for him is it gave him this, what is it? Why did I survive? What is it about nature that made such a difference that actually had me live? So that philosophy followed him. He became a chiropractor because he was always concerned about how can we extend people's life expectancy? How can we keep people healthy? And so he created from his love of plants and what is it that food contributes. He actually created the first multivitamin in the US, which is pretty extraordinary.
What did he call it?
He called it Vitalized Minerals.
Yes.
Vitalized Minerals, right? And it was I'm looking up in my office because I actually have a copy of one of the original bottles.
Really?
It was a liquid, yeah, a liquid. And so he started giving that to half of his chiropractic patients. And then, he did his own studies. Those people that he gave his product to actually started doing better. So he knew there was something there. And that was, Shakly was born, the company was born, after he had retired from chiropractic. He was in his late 50s when he started the Shakly business, when most people are thinking about ending their careers. Mm-hmm. Dr. Shakly was starting a new one. But besides the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and I think it's even maybe more than that. But he said that we would never create a product that harmed a single cell in the body. Mm-hmm. So our entire product line is based on that philosophy.
Awesome. And what would you say when you first started you've been taking Shakly products since you were knee-high to a grasshopper, as they say in Iowa. Do you remember some of your initial benefits that you got from it? And then perhaps some of the newer products, some of the benefits that you've gotten from the newer ones?
Well, maybe because I've been taking them so long, I've been really healthy. So, and I'm going to be 62 in October, and
that's
I have
2020, right?
2020. Here we are, 2020. I'm going to be 62 coming up, and people say, well, what health problems have you overcome, or how did the products help you? And I'm like, they've helped me just stay healthy. They have helped me stay healthy. My mother lived into her, I believe she was 80, in her 86. And up until she was 81, I believe, she was on 0 prescription medications. And then only 1 medication because of she developed atrial fibrillation. So that's pretty extraordinary. I'm on 0 medications. My husband, who is 70, is on 0 medications. When you look at statistically the amount of prescription medications that people on average that people are on, you go to the doctor's office and they say, they're ready. And what medications do you take? And when I say none, they kind of look at me like I'm joking, right?
Right.
So it's not the norm. So that as far as my health, I don't have a health story except to say that I'm healthy, and I give credit to the products that I've been taking since I was in my 20s.
Now, how many kids do you have?
So I have two girls.
Okay.
And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grandkids, one on the way, and I have 2 great grandchildren now.
I'm sorry, you're too young for that.
You're right, I am.
Okay.
But, I get to enjoy them. I get to run around with them. I feel great. I'm able to exercise. I am not my grandmother on my mother's side always seemed old to me. I don't know about, but she was from Europe, and she didn't take the products. And from the time I was little, she just seemed old. And my grandkids' experience of me is not that. I'm 3rd generation in getting to benefit from the organization that my grandmother started in 1964, which is truly remarkable that it's gone on now for over 5 decades, and that we're making more money now than we've ever made. And it's because of the strength of the organization that my grandmother helped to build. So, you find a few key leaders, and they understand what's possible, what can be built, the difference it can make in your life. And you find a few key leaders, and they find a few key leaders. So it's not like you're having to do all the work yourself and finding hundreds of people. That's not how it works. We find a few people, teach them how to find a few people, teach them how to find a few. And now my own daughter is a Shaklee distributor, and she's building her business because she now sees the benefit in that. And I want her to understand how the business works, so that when I'm ready to turn the business over to her, that can happen. And she'll know how it works, unlike I did, came in green. And my granddaughter is also looking. She's in a corporate job right now. She does get to work from home, but it's still, it's still a corporate job. She's still trading her time for money. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now your husband's retired, right?
Yeah, my husband was a school teacher, and he retired about 7 years. Yeah, 7 years ago from teaching middle school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's not an easy age to be teaching. All those hormones changing and everything.
He loved it. He loved it because he felt like they were still at an age where he had some impact. He could really have some impact in their lives.
Okay.
Before they got to be old and too old to think they know better.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So he loved it. And he's joined me in the business now. So, we're not ready to retire.
Oh, you're too young to retire.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And we're not ready. I mean, we're at this point. I'm so excited about what's coming, what the company is doing over the next, a few months and into the next few years, under the current leadership, the home office leadership, in coordination with the field leadership. It's just really an exciting time. And what's going on in the world right now, we have so much to offer, with immunity products that really can help people stay healthy, because I don't think this, coronavirus is going away. I mean, it's going to be part of, in some form or fashion, it's a virus. It's like a cold, right? And so it's not going away. So if we've got to live with it, then we've got to keep this body as healthy as possible. And we have.
Do you think it's our responsibility to stay as healthy as we can?
Absolutely. I mean, look at the impact of being unhealthy. Not just on yourself, but, economically and on your family and, all that. So yeah, being healthy is a huge responsibility.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
Just briefly, what would you say your 2 favorite products are?
Oh, my two. Oh boy, that's a hard one. That's a really hard one.
I'll give you three. Three.
Okay. Well, I look at it this way. If I were, on a desert island and could only have one product, I'd probably go with, a multivitamin, Vitaly at the very least. Vivix is a great one. Vivix, yeah, because my husband and I, we take the Life Strip, which includes Vivix and Vitaly. So that, and okay, I'm going to have to add a third is our Optiflora products, which is your for gut health. That's your beneficial microflora. So gut health is super important. Vivix, because it works at a cellular level for keeping your cells healthy. That one, and then just a multi to cover all the other bases.
Okay.
Oh, and I could go on and on. Household cleaning products, skincare. I love it when people are open to taking a look at network marketing. So many people have an opinion, they think they know what it is, or they've had a bad experience with a network marketing company. I mean, there are hundreds, maybe even thousands of network marketing companies out there. Some of them are great, many of them are not. So I think people really owe it to themselves to just do some research, find out how it really works. Maybe even, go to several companies and find out what their philosophies are, and find out about the products. Because you need to be with a company. If you're going to go into network marketing, you really need to be with a company that has stood the test of time, that has products that are going to stand the test of time, and understand it. Don't just judge it and dismiss it because of something you've heard.
Or an experience with a company that's gone out of business.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's sad that has happened quite a bit. But yeah, a lot. And it's no different than any other industry.
True.
Really. I mean, businesses come and go, and they start up and they go out of business. But but there's some differences that are very valuable and very impactful for people's lives. So, I just think people should check it out.
So there's a very valuable book that we can get to the individuals called the 4-Year Career Master's Edition, that does explain the industry and some testimonies of people within the Shaklee field that have built the business and what benefit they've derived from it. So definitely, you've been in the business your family's been in the business since '64, you said, right?
Yeah.
So that was, Dr. Shaklee started the company in '56, '64, and I was introduced to Shaklee in '75. So a long time, very long time.
Yeah. And that's something that's also, from my experience in the network marketing industry, very unusual for people to be with one company for decades. Very unusual. And so that also says something about Shaklee. And I believe not only is it the strength of the compensation plan, but also the strength of our products, that we continue, the company continues to create products that actually work and make a difference.
Absolutely. And our goal, and Roger Barnett, who owns the company's goal, is to make healthcare into well care globally. Biggest engine for social change in the wellness industry. So, globally, the globe needs better health. And when we have better health, we have boosted immunity. And these pandemics that break out, wherever they come from, can be dealt with by the immune system that God gave us if we have supported that immune system. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I know that, nobody in my family has gotten this particular virus right now. And I do know a few Shaklee people I've heard of that have gotten it and have recovered in a minimal amount of time. So it's, you know, it's not like our products are going to a magic bullet that will keep you from ever getting sick. But like you said, if we keep our immune system strong, we have a much better chance of healing quickly.
Very quickly. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Robin, I want to thank you so much for taking the time and letting me interview you and get to know you better. It's awesome. I am generationally within the Shaklee lineage. I'm fourth level to you. So that would be like, let's say, daughter, granddaughter, great granddaughter, right?
Great. I think.
Great. Okay. Yeah, I'm darn great. That's for sure.
Yes, you are. Double great.
Double great. Yep. So, yeah, and it's so nice that Shaklee actually pays you all the way down to the great level, right?
Yes.
6 generations it pays business development, and actually to infinity.
There is that aspect of it. Yep.
Yeah, there's an infinity aspect that's a patented edition, and no other company has that available. So it definitely is a benefit to check out what the Shaklee Business Opportunity offers. And we would both value the opportunity to show you the possibilities for you.